All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops, a great millstone that rule well, that teach well, while learn his truth 100% according to the Bible. I also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, prophet servants scattered abroad the four corners of the earth, and shalom to the Akwaf, the few sisters that are sincere, your children, shalom. And in today's video, as you can see, is going to be a little update video on things that are basically transpiring with the whole Middle East conflict that we see happening with Israel and Iran. And that whole situation over there is getting more intense by the minute, by the second. Here it is. You basically got Donald Trump, coming up with a deal whether or not he's going to attack Iran. And we know ultimately America will attack Iran because, it's all part of prophecy to pull them into this war. So it will happen, man. And we're seeing all of these things ultimately manifest before our eyes, which is proving that we're getting closer and closer to getting the hell up out of here. So I'm going to allow this video to basically play, and we're going to hear what it is the guy's saying. And I'm going to get a few precepts, and Lord's willing to be edifying. But with that being said, I'm going to start out the video by saying fair use on the 1976 Copyright Act. I'm not getting paid for this video. This is only for educational purposes, only fair use.
Developing news coming out today, June 19th, 2025, is take a look at the latest headlines with me. Coming out 33 minutes ago, Trump has decided that the U.S. will take action in the Israeli-Iranian conflict within the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to share with you the video footage, the articles, as we're hearing that Trump has said that he will make his decision.
Right. So you hear what it is the guy just basically said. He said that, Donald Trump allegedly in 2 weeks is going to decide whether or not he's going to, basically attack Iran or not. And I'm going to get this precept right here because this is the time and season in which it is we're living in. This St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 6 in the NLT. It said, and you will hear wars and threats of wars, right? Because we're ultimately in a time of where you got a lot of wars that are ultimately transpiring in the world. You got Russia and Ukraine, that whole situation that's occurring, Israel and Iran going back and forth, attacking one another. So you have active wars that are taking place, and you have threats of wars, which is what you see America making towards Iran, and China making towards Taiwan, North Korea making towards America, and South Korea. So, you got a lot of these different nations that are ultimately threatening one another, with lethal force, right? But it says, but don't panic. Yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately. And we know the end won't come until that RFID chip is made mandatory. So that's really what we're waiting on before we know that this situation really turns nuclear, because it won't turn nuclear till the MOTB is mandated. So that's really all we're waiting for. But we see that this situation keep occurring and getting more intense, so that we know that it's only a matter of time before that chip is going to come, man, So I'm going to start the video
on the U.S. and whether we will attack Iran within the next 14 days. Now, this comes as I let you know this morning that overnight, take a look, we had heard that Trump had approved an attack on Iran, but he had not made his final decision as to whether or not they would be attacking. You can see this had come out 18 hours ago. This had come out overnight.
And you see about what it says on the article. It said Trump approves Iran attack plan, but have not made final decision, reports say, right? Because ultimately we know that these leaders are not in control of anything, man. This is all Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai's movie. So the Lord is ultimately going to allow these events to take place when he deemed fit, right? And we know that before it can get real, intense, that, like I said earlier, that MOTB HIP has to be made mandatory. So we're still waiting on that before anything can get real catastrophic, how it's going to turn out, but I'm going to get another precept real quick, because we're in that time, man, a war, man. This is what's coming, man. This is the spirit that the Lord ultimately has on this earth right now. A lot of people don't believe this thing is going to heat up. They think it's going to just go away and go hide itself. No, that's not what's happening, man. The Lord is really about to turn this place up, man. As he said in St. Matthew chapter 10, verse 34, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword, man. Sword represent destruction, man. All of these nations being divided against each other. Everybody has the spirit of war on their mind, and we know the Lord is controlling these leaders' mind. He want them in that spirit of, ultimately warring, because that's what's about to happen, man. Right. So this is Ecclesiastes chapter 3. And I'm going to read from verse 1, but the point is at verse 8. I'm going to read all the way down, because this is the time in which it is that we're in, right? It says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, right? So there's a time for everything in which it is that takes place in the earth, man, right? The Lord controls all things, and he allows certain things to play out at certain different times, right? It's at a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up, right? A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, right? A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak, right? This is the point, verse 8. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. And that's the spirit that Yahweh Shem Yahushua has on these leaders' mind right now. Right? War. And that's why you see all of them preparing to ultimately to fight. You got China preparing, you got North Korea preparing, Russia, all of these other Middle Eastern countries, the EU and NATO, all of these countries are preparing for war, man, because that's the spirit that the Lord ultimately has on their mind right now. As it tells you in Proverbs 21:1, the king's heart, meaning his mind, is in the hands of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So he's the one that's stirring the hearts of these leaders, man, that are ultimately putting it on their spirit to prepare for war, man. That's why you see all of these clashings that are happening around the world, and they're only going to continue to get worse and worse, man, as time progresses, right? So I'm going to get back into the video.
And now we're hearing that he is going to be extending the time frame, going to be giving a little bit more time to decide. He said he still wants to see if they can resolve this diplomatically. He wants to see if he can meet Iran at the negotiating table. Now, this comes while...
Right, and you hear what it is this man is saying. But we know what the scripture said, thus saith the Lord, thus saith the Bible. Trump is still, basically trying to make peace deals and negotiations and trying to talk it out with people and things like that, like he's going to stop what's going to happen. You can't stop what's happening, man, because this is all part of prophecy, man. And we know what the Lord said, that when they started talking about peace, what's going to happen. Right, I'm going to get that. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. I'm going to start at the top, verse 1. In the KJV, it says, "But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know that perfectly that the day of the Lord, Yahushua HaMashiach, so cometh as a thief in the night." Right, this is the point, verse 3. "For when they," right, which is what you hear Donald Trump talking about a lot. That's what he's been talking about since he came into the office. But mainly due to this whole Iran and Israel situation. He's been talking about trying to get those two countries at a peace deal for the last month or two, man. Right. And that's all you hear him talking out of his mouth every time he's on a interview or whatever. And this situation is brought up. He's talking about, how he's basically going to bring peace to it. But peace is not coming, man. It says, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." And that's what the Lord is getting ready to bring, man. Destruction, man. And it's going to happen suddenly when these people are not expecting it. That's why it's important for us, brothers and sisters that are in this truth, to be watching as well as praying. That's the Lord told us to do in the book of St. Luke, to always be watching and praying, because these things are going to take people off guard, man, because they're not watching it. They're just thinking everything is normal. It's going to blow over and things like that. But no, this situation is going to get worse, man. And it's only the beginning of the evils that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is getting ready to bring, man. Right? So I'm going to get back into it.
Check in on the live feeds and take a look. You can see Israel and Iran are trading strikes as Trump weighs the U.S. involvement in the conflict. We're going to be seeing if the United States is going to be attacking Iran. Now, as that unfolds, we are hearing that Iran is threatening the United States still. Take a look. 36 minutes ago, Iran-backed Shiite militia in Iraq vows to attack U.S. regional bases if Trump decides to enter the conflict. So the threats, the warnings going back and forth. Iran is saying that they will attack the United States, and there are concerns about attacking military bases and sleeper cells in the United States, initiating and attacking here on U.S. soil. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you concerned of this? Now, I shared this with you a couple days ago as the warnings started coming out, but now we're hearing again.
Right. I'm going to finish letting them talk, but I'm going to get another precept, because like I said earlier, what all of this is leading up towards, man, and it's leading up to all of these nations ultimately leading up to the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Because when I was at camp earlier, I did when I was teaching on the highways and hedges, the Spirit allowed me to bring out an article that Russia made earlier, and it just came to mind that, Russia basically threatened the States and told them they get involved in this situation with Iran, that there's going to be nuclear consequences. And we know that Russia is going to get involved in this war, man. And that's what everything is leading up towards, man. Because we got to know that Iran is being protected and backed by Russia, man, and China. That's why they're so bold in their threats and the accusations that they're making towards the United States, man. You would have never heard Iran saying these things a few years back, right? But now they can because, like I said, they know that they have Russia, right, which it tells you in Ezekiel 38 that's going to be that protector, that guard until Persia. And that's why you got them, doing the things which it is that they're doing now, right? But like I said before, this is what everything is leading up towards. I'm going to get that. It's Joel chapter 3. And I'm going to start right at the point, verse 9, right? And it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, right? You heathen nations. Prepare war. And that's what you see all of them doing. Like I said earlier, from China to North Korea to Russia to EU and the NATO to America, all of these Middle Eastern countries, all of them are preparing for war, man, right? And that's the spirit that the Lord had on their minds ultimately to do, And it says, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And that's what the Lord is going to do. He's going to put the spirit on all of these nations to meet up over there in the Middle East, right? For them to fight and in the battle of Armageddon. That's what all of this stuff is leading up towards, right? Verse 10, it said, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. And that's what you have happening, man. Like I said, Iran would have never threatened America, 15, 20 years ago, but now they're threatening America. Now they're telling America, we'll bomb your bases if you basically come up against us, because they know that the ball is in their court, man. They have Russia, all of these other different nations that are going to aid them and support them that ultimately doesn't like America. So, Iran is pretty comfortable. And they also have capabilities of nuclear weaponry, man, that Russia has been giving them through those nuclear sciences and things of that nature they've been providing them with. So Iran is not scared of America anymore. That's why you got all of these weak nations saying that they're strong now, right? Because they're in possession of the same things that America has, which are these, ICBM missiles, man, which will be used in this third world war, right? That's what everything is leading up towards, nuclear destruction, right? This is verse 11. It said, assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen and gather yourselves together round about thither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord, right? Verse 12, let the heathen, right, be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, right? For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And that's what the Lord is going to do, man. He's going to use this world war to ultimately to bring forth judgment upon you heathens, man. And that's what all of this stuff is leading up towards. That's why you see all of them going back and forth, being divided, not knowing what to do, losing their mind, bugging out, and things of that nature, man, because everything is leading up to this taking place, right? And we know that the little hats will ultimately bring in America, man. That's prophecy that they're going to draw them in. And I'm going to go to a precept just to prove that, right? This is Jeremiah chapter 50. And I'm going to start at verse 45 in the KJV. And it says, therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord, right? Yahweh Shem Yahushua, that he have taken against Babylon, right? This place America, man. And his proposals that he have proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock, right? Talking about you Amalekites over there pretending to be the Lord's people. They're going to be the ones to, bring America into the fight, right? As we see happening now, right? As the scripture have said. It said, the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. And that's what all of this stuff is going to lead up towards. It's going to lead up until America being destroyed by nukes, man, right along with the land of Israel. But unlike America, the land of Israel will be builded back up by the heathens, because that's where the Holy Land is going to be for the Lord's people, man, the Israelites, the elect of the nation of Israel. But these places like America and things of that nature that get hit, they're going to be desolate, man. That's what's coming to this place, America, annihilation by ICBM missiles, and that's what's going to be the punishment for this place, man. And that's what we see the Lord ultimately allowing everything to build up towards. Like I said, we're just waiting on the MOTB to basically to come forth now. But everything is already really being set in place by the Lord, man, to bring forth this judgment, But I'm going to get back into the video so we can finish listening to what the guy is saying. Because like I said, this scenario is only going to continue to get worse, brothers and sisters. It's not getting better. Trump is not bringing peace. All of these different types of things that they tell you people to make you comfortable and to sleep at night and think like that. That's not what's coming. What's coming is, a whole bunch of chaos, man. But the men of the Lord have been warning you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians of these times, man. And we're fastly about to step into them,
Day. more warnings coming out about sleeper cells in the United States. And Donald Trump is saying that he's going to give it 14 more days to decide what direction we're going to be going, the United States, in the war with Israel and Iran. So I'm going to dive into the latest.
Right. So we hear what he's saying. I got another video I'm going to go to, just one more video that I'm going to merge in with this. Another video. This is the latest news from an hour ago. Right. So these are all new updates of things that are currently taking place, right now, and it's getting worse. So like I said, by the minute, by the second, you got Donald Trump basically, thinking if he should do it or not, or things like that. And we know that those little hats over there in the land of Israel, they control America. So they're going to pull America into this war, man.
He's preparing.
That's what's coming. So I'm going to get back into the video.
Fox News alert, President Trump making it very clear that if America has to get involved in Iran, it'll end on our terms. And it looks like he's preparing for any scenario. The E-4B Doomsday plane just made an unexpected flight to D.C. The $500 million aircraft was designed to withstand nuclear blasts and keep top government officials safe when threats are off the charts. And it landed at Joint Base Andrews under the cover of night on Tuesday. Right now, the United States has two destroyers anchored in the Mediterranean, the USS Sullivans and the USS Thomas Hudner. Both of these $100 million platforms.
Right. Like you just heard him say, like the U.S. got two different aircraft carriers right along with all of the other military equipment they've been sending out there for the past, few months. Right. With stealth bombers and all types of different things. So why would they send all of that, capabilities and weaponry out there if they're not planning to do something with it, man? So like I said, all of these things are ultimately leading up to World War III, man. And it's coming, it's coming quickly,
have been shooting down Iranian missiles. To the south is a carrier strike group, the USS Carl Vinson in the Arabian Sea just off the coast of Iran, flanked by 4 warships providing security to U.S. bases in the region, and a super carrier, the USS Gerald Ford. It's on its way and should be on the scene soon. Dozens of F-16s have been repositioned from Italy to the Saudi Arabia base, and F-22s and F-35s are on their way. Now, if we're going to drop bunker busters on the Iranian nuke site, it'll be done by B-2 stealth bombers. These aren't officially in the region, but sources tell Primetime they've seen tactical movement in the last 24 hours. This is a
right. So you hear what it is they're basically talking about, man. Like I said, they're preparing for this thing, man. They're running drills. They're doing exercises with their nukes. I was actually watching NY Prepper video, one of his live streams, I believe, like yesterday or the day before. You got America, they're doing all types of drills with their nukes and things of that nature, connecting their silos and their bunkers and, doing all type of transcommunication between one another, trying to make sure all of their systems are together because they know that this thing is about to come, man. It's about to get real hot this summer, man. And the men of the Lord, like I said before, I've been warning you people that these times are going to come, man. And it's going to come upon you people when you least suspecting, because you people, not you hopeful elect brothers and sisters, of course, but for the 2/3 of our people that are ultimately not watching these things, man, and not occupied in the prophecies, these things are going to come upon these people when they least suspect it, man. Right. So I'm going to read this precept right here. This is Revelations chapter 11, verse 14. It said, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe, right? Talking about World War III. Coming quickly, man. And we can see through all of these events in which it is that are happening in the earth as of this moment that it's definitely coming quickly, man. I mean, ain't no denying it. You got a lot of people that are knowing that this thing is about to take place. You even got people that are not even in the truth talking about on all of these other different apps and things of that nature that World War III is coming. So if you got regular people that know these things, how much more you Israelites, man? For you people that thinking this stuff is not going to happen, man, it's going to happen, So I'm going to get back into the video.
Movement in the last 24 hours. This is a major moment for Trump, and he's aware that his legacy is on the line. Quote, he is in his last term of his presidency. He may or may not see a window to do something that is something he's always believed is right and is important for the world, and has the added benefit of being legacy building. And this is a window. It's never existed before. it will likely never exist again insofar as he can do anything about it. So while he has that window, he's going to take a shot, even if it is not something that everybody agrees with. And the president says he has
right. And you just heard what it is. He basically said that, Trump is not going to basically agree with the things in which it is the people is telling him not to do because he's that cruel Lord that it tells you about in Isaiah 19:4, man. Nero in the reincarnation coming back, man. And this man is going to lead America to his destruction, man. I mean, like, you could just look at everything in which it is he's doing, how he's going about doing things, that he's definitely about to lead this country to his demise, man. Right? How proud he is, how boastful this man is. And we know what the Lord says in the scriptures, man. Proverbs 16:18, that pride goeth before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. And this man Trump is very proud, man. He thinks America can't be touched. You see all the Twitter messages and what it is he's leaving on X about how proud this man is talking about how America can't be touched and they're going to destroy Iran quickly and they have control over their skies and there's nothing Iran can do against their weapons. I mean, this is everything, pushing towards this place being destroyed, man. And that's what's going to make this place be destroyed, this man's pride, right? And that's what this is going to lead towards. I'm going to go to this precept. This is Malachi chapter 4. And I'm going to start at verse 1 because that's what all of these conflicts and debates and so-called peace negotiations that they're trying to work out. None of that is going to, stand. What's going to bring forth and happen is nuclear destruction, man. Right. So that's why I'm going to read this precept. It says, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven. Right. That's talking about over here in America, Babylon the Great, man. Right. And in other regions where these nukes are going to hit it as well. But mainly America, man. Right. And it says, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, man, because those nukes are going to destroy them, man. Right along with the laser beams of the chariots. And it said, in the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. So that's what Donald Trump is about to lead this country, America, to, man. This place being destroyed, and the men of the Lord have warned you people, So, yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to say with today's video. Lord's willing to be edifying, just some quick through the spirit, a little update of things that are basically taking place around the world. But like I said, this conflict is brewing up again, more intense and intense by the moment, Now, only thing we're waiting for now is that CHIP, man. And that's going to make it mandatory because when that chip comes, then we know it won't be too long after that, hey, this place is going to be, destroyed, man. That's why you got World War III over there constantly, getting worse by the minute, because ultimately everything is moving towards prophecy being fulfilled, right? So, yeah, that's everything. Until the next time, I'm going to say shalom.